What is going on, traders? Today is 13th of September and I'm here to bring you another crypto market update. Now, on yesterday's video, I was talking about the fact that we did manage to put a candle below the 100 and the 21 moving average and finally closing this entire structure below it. However, on the preceding candle, on the following price action, we saw a huge rejection of the downside. We saw immediate buy up of the 9800 zones, proving this area to be as a definite demand zone, right? We had a lot of rejections back during the 15th of August week all the way to the 30th of August. More or less 2 weeks we had rejections of the 9000 zones again and again and again. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at the similar situation here, rejecting anything below 10,000 and getting bought back up again. However, the previous candle, yesterday's candle was not a closure above the 21 moving average, which could be concerning, but we do have price action follow through to the upside and, well, up and onwards. Heading on to the 1 hour time frame, as I was talking about this entire structure yesterday, we were in a falling wedge or a falling slice of pizza, like how I would like to describe this thing as. So now if you take a price target of the bullish follow through, you do have a retest of the 200 moving average on the 1 hour time frame. I think we have already been there. We have tested it multiple times. We are getting rejected constantly from these zones, and from yesterday's video I did have a target on these zones. In fact, I personally took this trade and I went long somewhere on these levels, around the 21 moving average on the 1 hour time frame, and I did close my position a couple of hours ago, somewhere around 10,350 zones. Anyway, now putting a candle above the 200 moving average on the 1 hour would be indicative of the fact that we are going to be looking at some kind of follow through to the upside. And how do we get the resistance zones following the 1 hour time frame? We look at the 4 hour time frame. The most immediate resistance above us is the 55 moving average on the 4 hour time frame, which is currently at, well, 10,400. Now, I do want to be talking about the 10,400 zone as it is kind of significant. If we start closing candle above the 10,400 or 10,350 to be precise, that area, then we can definitely expect a follow through of this entire structure to the upside. Well, maybe which is going to be somewhere around 11,000 regions, because we do have a proven demand zone from these regions, and this entire little uptrend from 29th of August all the way to 6th of September was retested at the 0.618 retracement. Got retested, beautifully rejected anything below the 618 zones, and is now kind of hovering between the 0.5 and the 0.318 Fibonacci sequence. 382, my apologies for that. It's kind of hovering between these, and the breakout between either of these lines would be kind of indicative of the fact that we are looking at the next Fibonacci retracement, which is going to be at 10,550 for the current posture on the 4 hour time frame. On the downside, we do have, well, 10,000 as a retest of the rejection of 0.5 Fibonacci again. Now, this is on the extremely small time frame, kind of insignificant as to what we will be looking at the daily or the weekly or the 3-day or even the monthly time frame, right? Very different. Anyway, on the immediate time frame, there is something interesting which I want to be noticing, which I want to be putting a lot of weight into, is the formation of course you must have judged it by now, an inverse head and shoulder. Ta-da! Everybody knows this. Everybody knows these kind of patterns, and I mean, these are the reasons why these patterns usually fail, because everybody's been looking at it. Whenever we have triangles, whenever we have head and shoulders in the market price action, we do have a lot of retail speculation going on in these patterns, and that's how most of the people get wrecked. So I'm definitely not going to be putting a lot of money in line only because of this pattern taking a formation, although it's pretty nice to notice what's going on as the price is kind of rejecting a few zones. The first zone being here, the second one being here, and the third one being here. Now if we do break out of this entire formation, we will be certainly looking at a price target of 12,400, even 12,500, which is going to be aligning with this previous resistance, previous rejection zone. And if this really happens, it is going to be proving my analogy of us being in an ascending triangle on the weekly time frame. Not much of a descending price action going on as we go by the daily time frame. Looking at the weekly, I was talking about this in a video that we are kind of in an ascending triangle itself. I mean, this clearly looks like an ascending triangle. You do have a lot of arguments to that. You just simply go on to 2-day or 3-day time frame, and you can probably argue against this entire structure, and you can probably draw a few lines and prove the fact that we are in a descending triangle. However, I personally would like to think of it like this. We are going to be squeezing around this entire zone all the way until February of next year. Judging by this price action, judging by this support and resistance trend line, we could be looking at a price target of 11,500 on the upside, eventually rejecting and eventually closing a candle below it. Closing a candle above it would kind of create some kind of deviation from the pattern that is being formed, but I do think that this is going to be playing out. The price will be squeezing around these levels, and it's definitely going to be supported by the 21 weekly moving average. As soon as we start seeing candles closing below this significant moving average, below this 21 weekly moving average, I think then that is a particular I mean, at that point you can certainly expect some kind of downturn and some kind of bad news for Bitcoin price action. Good for a lot of people who are willing to accumulate as much as they can on the lower prices. Losing this would lead us to 7,600 to 7,500. Anyway, going on to the small time frames again. Like I said, this major move is now complete. This falling wedge is it's played out. It's played out and the target is hit. Now, if you want to be looking at any continuation, you certainly want to be looking at any candle closing above 10,400 regions on the 1 hour time frame. For the extremely small time frame follow through, I'm talking about the intraday trading. And judging by the 4-hour time frame, we don't have much resistance above the 55 moving average, which is at 10,400. So the price could actually chop around in these regions and ultimately work its way up, crossing this let me just demark it with a triangle. Crossing this area of interest and closing a candle above it would certainly mean that we could break out of this head and shoulder formation, and we could be landing all the way to 12,300 zones, aligning with the previous resistance. Could be interesting to see. Well, that is how I do expect the price to play out in the coming few hours, or maybe a few 12-hour candles, and we could be looking at a resolution to the entire price action within the next 2 days. Within the next 2 days, we'll be looking at this. Now, as we step into the weekend, I would like to look at the CMEs. Wow. All right. First and foremost, the gap video. Coming from the gap video, I was talking about 2 gaps that we have here and one that we have here. Now, don't get me wrong, this gap is certainly visible all the way up until the 12-hour time frame, and I would give a lot of weight into any price action above 12-hour time frame. So this is kind of a legit gap according to me. Now, what do we have here? We have this gap being filled with all the conviction, and guess what? It got bought up. It simply got bought up, and this huge confirmation candle actually closed above the 100 moving average, the 21 moving average, and the 55 moving average as well. 3 moving averages taken down in one single go, in one candle. Kind of strengthful, and I do expect at least some kind of follow through. The first and foremost target would be 11,500 on the CMEs, which is going to be 10,450 on the spot prices. Closure above these zones would definitely lead us to higher price action. higher price levels. Now if we clear this zone of interest, which is at 11,000 on the CMEs, we will have a clear path towards this gap. I do have my eyes on it. I will be paying a lot of attention to this particular gap zone, which is going to be filled out at 12,000, aligning with 11,900 price action, 11,900 on the price levels on the spot. I'll be looking at this, and I'll be actually paying close attention, and I'll definitely be looking at longing opportunity, because in a simple uptrend you want to be going with the trend, and the bigger picture kind of tells us that this entire uptrend is kind of consolidating, because we just really blasted off, like giving no time, giving no opportunity for the buyers to step in. We just simply blasted off, and we're just kind of consolidating in these regions. So looking at this entire picture, it's kind of like a beautiful that's how I'd like to like the price action to resolve, but this kind of looks like a good kind of bull flag. Can argue on that. This kind of looks like a continuation triangle. Let's see to which side it breaks down or breaks up. I'll be targeting 12,000 first and foremost. If we close above 11,000 on the CMEs, which is going to be 10,900 on the spot price. 10,000 closing above 10,900 would mean a price action all the way to 12,000, something which I personally be looking at. Alright, that's been it for today's update. I hope you got some kind of value out of it, and definitely hit a like, leave a like, definitely leave a like, and suggest me about the music, guys. Tell me what kind of music I can put in the background, which is going to be keeping a lot of people interested in the videos, because I'm sure the price action analysis could be boring if the ambience and the environment is not that interesting. It kind of needs to be like holding on, right? So do suggest some kind of music, and I hope to catch you guys tomorrow on tomorrow's update. Bye for now.